What if the biggest thing holding you back isn't the challenge in front of you, but the promises that you've made to yourself? At Brimstone Coaching Group, we help teams, businesses, and organizations break through hidden barriers in our Promises Workshop. This is a hands on experience that helps you and your team identify and replace self limiting beliefs with purposeful promises that foster growth, confidence, and resilience. You can bring this powerful workshop to your company, nonprofit, or leadership team and start creating a culture of trust, collaboration, and transformation. Visit brimstonecoachinggroup.com to learn more.
Welcome to the Brimstone Coaching Podcast. I'm Chris Godfredson, co-founder, coach at the Brimstone Coaching Group, and I'm here today with my friend, partner, Kurt Busch. Kurt, good to see you today.
Yeah, you too, Chris.
I wonder how you feel about the topic of the day. And we chuckle because it's fun to laugh. And the reality is that the topic of the day is going to be focused on the idea of self-compassion, particularly self-compassion as it relates to our ongoing transformational journey and the power that we believe that self-compassion has in looking at our past, understanding where we currently are, and perhaps even where it is that we sense we are being moved or led or directed on our transformational journey. And I think we chuckle, right? And I think I laugh. I'm not going to presume why you do. I'll ask
Yeah,
you in just a
yeah,
moment why it is that
yeah,
you laugh when we think about the idea of self-compassion. But when I first came across this idea as a means or as a way of improving or helping me take steps towards a transformed way of being,
mm,
or if as I took steps on the transformational journey, self-compassion was not what I thought of first.
yeah, yeah.
The
Well,
reality is I laughed. I laughed
yeah,
out loud. Self-compassion, what are you talking about? And here's what's true in all of that for me. It's like I could not and would not be compassionate with myself.
mm,
I had levels of expectation for myself that were ridiculous. I mean, I
yeah,
never lived into and out of the expectations that I had for myself. And so then when I didn't, I mean, it led to perpetual feelings of shame.
yeah,
And so I would say, that guilt says I've done something bad. I've missed the mark. I'm not behaving or doing exactly the things I would like to, but shame says I am bad.
yeah,
And so like that being so deeply ingrained in my head, in my heart, in my way of being, when I heard self-compassion, I'm like, what are you, nuts?
yeah,
And and what has actually become true for me is like self-compassion and being able to look at myself rightly
mm,
has been life-changing, game changer. Yeah.
yeah,
What would you
yeah.
say about your chuckle, first of all?
Well, I think that wraps up our episode, Chris.
Good try. I like it though.
I knew you were going to ask me about the chuckle, and now I'm doing the gymnastics about what I want to say
Mm,
because I know I gave you the intro power of this, and I know you're going to
you
ask me a
did.
question. Um, Here's what I'll say about the chuckle. Um, first, I would affirm when this was a topic brought to me years ago that I can have some compassion for myself. My chuckle at the time was, yeah, that's for weak people. That's for people who don't want to get stuff done, or
Yeah.
that's for people who like kind of sit in self-loathing or
Mm,
um that's not going to help me get where I want to go. I mean, I think the other piece kind of tied to that is self-compassion isn't a productive practice on the surface, right? So if I'm
Yeah.
trying to grow a practice in me or grow a skill or be transformed in some area of my life, um, it doesn't appear on the surface that self-compassion is doing that. Um,
Yeah.
I think what we're going to get to is that it is actually doing that, but
Mm.
my chuckle years ago was like, okay, get out of here, just let me do the things that actually amount to change, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Yep. And
I
I hear from you fairly regularly the this idea of productivity.
yeah,
And I think you have felt it. And I think that the people that you work with express those same kind of feelings to you,
hmm
correct? Where, if I'm not productive, then the system is going to call me out. Or I'm
yeah,
not going to feel a sense of value or worth. And so when you think about all of that, I mean, what would you say about productivity? And then what would you say about the impact that self-compassion actually is able to have on you as you think about productivity?
yep. We live in a time. Well, I mean, I'm going to be real. I haven't been in the corporate. I haven't
Yep.
swam in corporate waters for a number of years. Um, a number of clients that I have do, a number of friends that I have do. I mean, the culture in 2025 of work is not one of slow reflection, self-compassion, and caring for self. Like this work culture we live in today is go, 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 do, do, do. So I think the fear is if I am, a high functioning employee, a high functioning engineer, a high functioning nurse, a high functioning leader, whatever it is, that if I give attention and effort to giving myself compassion, well, that's attention and effort that I should be giving to my tasks or to my job or to
Mm.
the thing that I'm working on right now. And if I do that, am I going to be noticed as someone who didn't get my stuff done? Am I going to be noticed as someone who um, was not in the office the longest this week? Am I going to be the one that's not um, killing themselves to make a deadline,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
I think that's the fear, and I think you said as much. I think the reality of what I've found is that self-compassion keeps me in the game. And
Mm.
I know that's kind of a that's kind of a cliche term, but self-compassion allows me to stay focused. Whereas if I just try to bury my head down and like keep working and keep going and like try to shove that shame voice down or shove the things down that make me feel like I'm not as productive as this person or that person. If I just try to shove that down, it's going to come out at some point, and then I'm going to have to address it, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I can only beat myself up or compare myself so long before that's going to have real consequences. So I think self-compassion for me says I'm gonna say what's so about myself. I think you used the word I'm gonna think rightly about myself.
Mm. Hmm.
Um, I'm going to um, I'm going to resist comparing myself to a colleague or to a peer or to whoever it is so that I can stay focused on what is actually my role and what I'm actually supposed to be doing, which
Yeah.
I think actually makes me more productive, right?
Right. Well, I mean, if you aren't in the game, are you productive?
No,
No, right?
no.
I'm out of the game.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and so, I mean, there's some really powerful things that you said in all of that. And I can't remember exactly the way you said it, but you said something along the line. I mean, the what I would say is like it just seems ridiculous. Like that this is a notion,
Yeah,
right? That this is a pathway. And
yeah.
I was reading recently an article that in the National Library of Medicine, of all places.
Whoa, Chris.
Yeah. Well, I mean, once in a while.
Yeah.
And but the idea, there's this researcher that researches stuff around self-compassion. I think her name
Mm.
is Kristen Neff, Neff, and she says that self-compassionate people do not feel isolated by the experience of failure or struggle, but they
Mm.
recognize that stressful events are part of the human experience.
Yeah.
And
Say that again.
yeah, uh, self-compassionate people, as a result of the recognition that self-compassion is helpful,
Yep.
self-compassionate people don't feel isolated by the experience of failure or struggle, but recognize that stressful events are part of the human experience. So
Yeah.
when I think about like my own journey, like fail, I would do everything it took for you to not think or find out that I was worthless.
Yeah.
And so I looked at failure as debilitating.
Yeah.
And my sense of not living up to the standard, maybe it was the organizational standard, maybe it was your standard, what my perception of your standard for me was.
Mm.
And more than any of either of those things, what my level of standard was
Mm.
for performance, then I would do whatever it took. I
Yeah.
would do everything it took for you to not think or find out that I sucked. And so
Yeah.
this is why I would laugh at self-compassion, because I I had all, well, I had a lot of compassion for other human beings.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could be, I mean, at worst sympathetic to you, at best empathetic for, what it was that you were going through, or maybe you didn't live up to our agreed upon standards.
Yeah.
And I could have all the empathy in the world and compassion for
Yeah.
you, but I had zero compassion for me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and what was true about that for me is that I was under stress all the time
Mm. Yeah.
because like they what are they thinking about me? What are they saying about me? What if
Yeah.
they actually found out that I suck? Or
Yeah.
what if they
Yeah.
think that? And like those things are all outside of me.
Yeah.
What they
Yeah.
think or what they're saying. And do I care? Sure, I want people to think well of me. But
Yeah.
but to get to the place where I can understand that uh, stressful events, failing is part of the human experience. It's not just me.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
can have compassion for myself for that. Game changer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I make a statement and ask a question?
Yeah. You can make a statement.
And ask a question?
You can make a statement. Yeah.
Um,
Go.
I mean, we talked about productivity. We began this conversation around this kind of
Mhm.
myth of productivity in the culture we live in. I mean, what you just named sounds like so much energy devoted to something that's not the job that you get paid to do or
Right.
your organization needs you to do, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that sums it up pretty well. Here's a question. If I'm jumping too quick into this, you can tell me real time. Um, Maybe the listener is thinking, okay, self-compassion. I hear it. I know how to have compassion for others, which I think is pretty common. I would say the same. I think
Mhm.
most people know how to extend compassion to others, probably not ourselves. What does it look like? So let's say there's something that you have to produce for your organization or something you have to produce for Brimstone Coaching Group and
Mhm.
it doesn't go the way you want it to or it's behind or whatever the case is the thing that you fear happens. What does it
Mhm.
actually mean to give yourself self-compassion? Like what are some words that
Mhm.
that look and feel like self-compassion for you?
It's okay. You're okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That doesn't define who you are. Uh, it Could you have done better? Sure. And I think I've learned, I can credit Ken Schumann with some of this, I would say, our friend from Faith Walking Central, who like, I think he helped me see like I'm okay. Some days I have 85% to give.
Yeah.
I might be depleted. I might be sick. I might be thinking about the conflict that happened with a coworker,
Mm.
and and that might trip me up. And I really only have 85% to give. Well, it was like give 100% or 110%, right? As if that's
Yeah.
an actual number. You can't give
Yeah.
110%. But I
Yeah.
what I've been able to figure out over time is that uh like I wouldn't give I would give 50%
Mm.
because 100% wasn't attainable today.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
would feel, I use these words a lot. I would feel regret and remorse about what happened. So I had 85% to give, and I only gave 50% of my total capacity
Yeah.
in a given day or a given meeting or whatever. And the reality is that is not who and how I want to be ever.
Yeah.
But when I get to a place where I know, like, okay, I'm a little depleted, but I'll give 100% of that 85 that I have to give. I can look myself in the eye at the end of the day or in the mirror. I can look
Yeah.
myself in a mirror. That's a better way of talking, like speaking English. That that I can look myself in the eye and say, "Good job, way to
Yeah.
go."
Yeah.
and and
Yeah.
it moves past it. I think it has helped me move past my incessant desire to perform, to
Yeah.
achieve, to strive, to do all those things. And those things were alive in me for a really long time. Maybe it's age, maybe it's transformation, like, but
Yeah.
the pathway, of course, is something we talk about quite a little, is when events happen or when I haven't encountered, oh, I have to look now, what's going on? What am I doing? And
Yeah.
I can stop and reflect and say, what 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 do I need right now? Or how should I be? Like I can look at myself more compassionately. And I
Yeah.
think that leads to transformed results. It leads to my own transformation. And I think the impact of that around on people around me is pretty significant.
Yeah.
My hope in that is that it eliminates some of the pressure that they feel to
Mm.
perform too. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
I think so. I mean, you said a lot in there. I mean, I think there's one thing you said that I might want to pull on a little bit. You said, maybe I didn't do this thing the way I wanted to do it.
Mhm.
Um, I think my brain connects that back to the guilt versus shame
Mhm.
conversation to where,
Yeah.
there are going to be times where results or fruits of our labor, if you will, are not what we would hope for or not what we would desire. Um, but guilt saying, I did this, I made a mess, or I did this thing and it was wrong, that actually leads us most of the time to improvement, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas the shame, the things we're talking about with self-compassion, those lead us to things that don't improve us or improve results the next time. So I think that's really important to name. Like the goal of self-compassion is not to ignore results that are different than we want. It's to address them correctly, appropriately.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
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 Rightly. I can look at it and say, okay. And again, like it's so important. It's We feel that it's important to spend time regularly in reflection, to be able to engage with the things that we've seen and done or heard or said
Yeah.
throughout the course of the
Yeah.
day so that we can like make sense out of,
Yeah.
am I in alignment with who and how I want to be? I mean, we're like broken records. I'm like a broken record with some of this stuff, but here's the thing. I would go to shame automatically
Mm.
for a good chunk of my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't go there any longer. It's for sure is not my first move. There are
Yeah.
times, I mean, I don't want to say that it never
Yeah.
comes up, but it's not, it doesn't drive the bus.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I believe that self-compassion has played a big part in that becoming the case.
Yeah. Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that.
What do you want to say about any or all of that? No more
That's a good.
questions. You get to speak.
You're on to me. You've been on to me
Well,
for for a
I
long
have
time.
been.
Um, yeah, I remember a while back. I mean, maybe not as a while back as I would like it to be, you know? I
Mhm.
mean, I think we're all growing and we're all maturing real time. This is a journey of transformation, not an arrival.
Yeah,
Um, I remember so vividly, whether it was in a corporate setting or in a nonprofit setting, so vividly I would prepare something that was mine to prepare a project, a presentation, whatever it was, and I remember that there were times where I'd have to give this either to my superior or give it to someone, a stakeholder or whatever it was, and I remember so clearly thinking, oh man, this has to be perfect.
yeah,
Knowing what I know now is that it's never perfect the first try.
right.
Things we do are rarely perfect the first try. Projects we work on, presentations we create,
Yeah,
things we want to share with people in a corporate setting or a large group setting.
right.
These are rarely perfect the first try, and there's a gift in feedback.
Mm,
Um, I remember for such a long time feeling like feedback equals that I'm not good enough. That
sure.
if I was a better HR professional, if I was a better presenter, if I was a better whatever, I wouldn't need the feedback, right? That
Yep.
I would be able to do this um, perfectly the first time. Um, and I just like I feel it in my bones even saying it. I mean,
Yeah.
this was such a visceral fear.
Yep.
You know, I remember sitting in an office with an HR manager that I would present. Well, I'll just tell you the story real quick. So, I worked for a pretty large manufacturing company, and we were in the process of examining the way that hourly laborers were paid,
Hmm.
sort of an incentive-based payment structure, or not payment structure, but hourly rate structure, right?
Yeah.
Um, I did a lot of work into this to set out here are the rates, here are the increases, here's the schedule, here's the
Mhm.
incentives, all this sort of thing. Lots and lots of work on this project. And I presented it to my HR manager and I expected it that it was perfect. And I was so I want to say hurt, but I don't think hurt was the right
Mm,
word. But I felt something when it came back with, hey, this is great, but what about this? Or what about this? Or I need more of this, or I need more of this. Like that's how these things work. But deep in my bones, it was, oh gosh, I suck. You know?
mm. And so then what did you do?
Oh, I sulked. I kind of did half work.
Mm,
I avoided it.
okay.
I know the deadline, right? Okay, so
Hmm.
I have to come back with the revision by X date. Well, I'm
Yep.
gonna avoid that for a little longer, right? I'm gonna avoid it for a little longer because the feeling of kind of coming back to those red
Mm,
marks,
yep.
that's hard. It did not get my full attention the way it probably needed my full attention. Um, yeah, I think that, man, I think going back to that story, going back to that feeling, I mean, I think I know where that stems from. I think I can trace that, like,
Yep.
that do it perfectly. I think I can trace that back. But I think those are the moments for me when I think self-compassion is most necessary to be able to say, I don't suck. I'm actually learning, right? Um,
Right.
maybe the self-compassion that's most accurate for me in those times is, um, why would I expect myself to be perfect? Why do I expect myself to be the expert? Why
Yeah.
do I expect myself to not need feedback?
Mm,
It's okay. It's okay.
yeah.
Um,
Those are great questions to ask. Yeah. What do you think, or how do you think you would have behaved differently if you had access to that at that time?
oh, I mean, I think I'm going to be careful not to slip into shame a little bit here because this is kind of
Well,
happening
no,
real
that's
time.
not the point.
Yeah, I know that. So I think I can look back on those times. So I worked for this company as an HR generalist for a number of years, and I had no business doing it. I was learning.
Yeah.
I was in a position that probably didn't make a lot of sense, but I loved it and I was pretty good at it. But I look back at those times now and think, gosh, if I could have leaned in with this person that could have taught me a whole bunch more, if I could have leaned in and said, "Hey, tell me more about this," or why is that revision necessary? Or I'm going to lean in more. I'm going to try this thing that might be a little more risky, and I'm going to learn something even from that. I
Yeah.
think I think I look back and I wonder how much more could I have learned if I wouldn't have been kind of stuck in this cycle of, you know, kind of thinking negatively of myself or speaking negatively internally or being stuck in this inability to find compassion for myself. Like what could have come out of that
Yeah. Yeah.
versus what and I don't know that I'm saying that out of shame. I think that's
Mm-mm.
actually just a factual question I wonder about.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. And like, yeah, I mean, we're here in the moment talking about self-compassion, and it's a vital piece of our behavior.
Yeah.
And like, I think one of the things that's alive in me in the moment is how often it was true for me too. I was put into positions and into roles that I had no business being in.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fascinating to me
Yeah.
that's the case, and it happens over and over again. Can I share a story with you?
Yeah.
Okay, so this isn't me, but it's like it's alive in me, and I can see myself in it. So here's the story, the setup. My mother-in-law has Alzheimer's,
Mm,
and she has very few pleasures left in life. One of them is going out for supper.
mm,
And so my wife and I took her out for supper a week or two ago, and we placed an order. We had a young server,
mm.
and this young server uh, was nice enough. She said her name. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. And it's probably good to protect the innocent. And so my mother-in-law and I ordered entrees that were
Mm.
to include a salad. Uh, Kathy ordered a sandwich that would come with fries or some other side.
Yeah.
And she said, "Can I replace the the side with a salad?" And she's like, "It comes with a salad." And so they did this dance back and forth. She's like, "No, it doesn't." "Yes, it does." "Well, I'll just give you the salad." "Okay." And my mother-in-law ordered the dressing for her salad, and the 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 salads come out, one for me, one for my wife. And like now we're like, "Hey, wait a minute, where's her salad?" And
Yeah.
she disappeared. And now our meals are coming, and she comes back. And my mother-in-law, in as gentle as I've seen her be in a long time, she says, "Was my meal supposed to come with a salad?"
Mm.
And the server said, "Well, it can." And she said, "What does that mean that it can? It either
Yeah.
comes with a salad or it doesn't."
Yeah.
And this young server fumbled and stumbled, and she put a salad into a go container because our food was already there, but had no grid for how to handle the situation.
Yeah.
Here's what I want to get to. In the moment, I thought that the server was the problem.
Mm, mm.
And what I think is the problem is oftentimes leaders are trying to be productive, and then we're putting people into a position where they're not able to experience success, where they
Yeah.
fail. And you and
Yeah.
I experience this as young people. You were in an HR position. Like I had a guy that I was as a business partner, I was leading and building businesses, and I didn't have any idea what I was doing. And then later I
Yeah.
got a role in ministry and I didn't have any idea what I was doing. And um, and then I would like protect myself or try to hide so that
Yeah.
nobody would see or feel. And like as leaders, like I'm just present to like this particular place in the interest of productivity, we put a server on the floor who has no
Yeah.
business being there. And I imagine like she didn't know how to apologize. She didn't
Yeah.
know how to make it,
Yeah.
how to make good, really. And
Yeah.
she just avoided us the rest of the time. And
Yeah.
like
Hmm.
as employers, as leaders, like we play a vital role in people development. And this
Yeah.
has taken a maybe it's taken a turn, but so even in that, I'm like curious, like how do how can we help people understand, help leaders understand that like productivity is not the be all end all.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's about how do we empower and equip human beings to experience success and help them understand that mistakes are a part of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
human process to like to recognize that stressful events are a part of the human experience. I don't Self-compassionate people are able, they don't feel isolated by the experience of failure or struggle. Like we can
Yeah.
talk about these things.
Yeah.
And I think that there's just I know as a leader, as an employer for a long time, like I didn't understand that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
alive in me in the moment, and
Yeah.
uh, I tried to help people understand that mistakes happen, but like
Yeah.
how do you forgive yourself? Can you? Can you just move on? Can you learn?
Yeah.
Like you didn't fail, right? I love how you said that like 8 minutes ago. I didn't fail. I was learning.
Yeah. Yeah.
The mental model shift.
Yeah.
And I think leaders have the responsibility to help lead their employees, their staffs, their
Yeah.
teammates, whoever they are, whatever
Yeah.
language we put to it, right? To not expect perfection out of people, but
Yeah.
rather to help people uh, function when they aren't perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. So we use the phrase sometimes, Chris, we'll ask the question of people, where are you cynical of things never changing? Um, I think my devil's advocate here, my cynicism says, I don't know how productivity is ever looked at differently. I mean, I think there's
Yeah,
part of me that says, yes, 100%, I agree. I could not agree with you more. I think everything you said about, um, fundamentally understanding productivity different. Um, I actually think that leads to more higher productivity and
right.
higher success. And I am so cynical of the corporate world and the leadership world. Um, I don't know, what would you say to a cynic that says, how does this ever change?
Yeah, well, a good question. Uh, here's what I think. Like you can make the best steak in New York City, and if uh, if the service is terrible, like in that moment, you might get that steak out, and you'll get that table turned over, and then you'll get the next table turned over, and you might be booked solid through the week. You might even do so for a month. But what's true about that is I'm not coming back, and I bet that the people behind me aren't coming back either because the service didn't match the
Yeah.
quantity, the tastiness of that steak.
Yeah.
I can get a less expensive steak uh, and find good service somewhere else. And so the reality is like I think productivity will have an end life
Yeah.
if quality doesn't match the standard. Uh,
Yeah.
I think that people expect, and so in that, uh, I think then, well, what's the most important thing here?
Mm,
Is it the customer and their experience? Is it the server and her experience? Uh, Maybe it's me as the employer and to have a little compassion on myself to say, oh yeah, I missed it.
yeah. Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
oh boy, unfortunately for me, uh, I know the owner of this place, and now I'm like, oh, I should probably have a conversation to say this was my experience,
Yeah. Yeah.
and because I think feedback is useful and helpful, I'm providing you with a little feedback,
Yeah.
and I'm not from a place of shame, but I maybe if you are open to hearing my experience, I would encourage you to have a little self-compassion because you can understand that stressful events are part of the human experience,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and maybe it'll make you better.
Yeah.
Dang
Yeah.
it. Dang it. Why how come I have to get into action now?
That's a good
And
question.
will I exercise self-compassion when I choose not to a time or two or three? Yeah, I can, but I'm feeling something in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Anyway,
get that. I get that.
yeah.
One of the things that happens a lot around self-compassion between you and I,
Hmm.
that I think maybe we would want to highlight to say like this is how we approach coaching, this is how we approach our clients. Um, it never fails about one time every time we're in the same room together, Chris. One of us will say something like, "I really suck at this," and the other one says, "What?"
Can you say that differently?
Yeah, yeah. Either can you say that
Say that
differently?
differently. Normally
Yes.
it's say that differently.
Yeah, usually there's a there's a
It's
stronger.
not a question, it's a directive.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Where are
Yeah.
you going with this?
Well, I mean, I think I maybe just want to name. I think we've named some stories of how this has played out, and I think maybe I just want to put in the space. This is how we're doing this together today.
Yeah.
That this is how we keep the work going.
Yeah, that's
And
really good.
and this is something we do with our clients too. We kind of gently ask the question: Is there a different way to say that thing you just said about yourself?
Yeah.
Because words matter, right?
Do they? Yeah. So say more. Like pull that apart. Talk to me as if I have no idea about what you're talking about right now.
Oh, well, that wasn't
Yeah.
why I brought this up, Chris.
Well, you're welcome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I'm trying to think of a real example. Um, ah, I can't think of a real example. I'm gonna make up a hypothetical that I know is not
Okay.
far from something that would actually happen.
Sure.
Um, I, no, I this is a real example. We spent some time together, you and I and a couple friends these
Yeah.
last few days. And this is time together that we get once a year that we're all in the same space. And the last little bit of this time together, I spent one-on-one with another dude. I was bringing him up to the
Mm.
airport. We had some time to kill between our last thing in the airport.
Yeah.
So we went to Great Shots in Sioux Falls.
Mm. Yep.
It's like Top Golf. It's one of these golf places you hit off of a patio area into this
Yeah.
netted area, and there's games and it tracks your ball, all
Sure.
the kind of things. I am not a golfer, right?
Yeah.
I actually don't know that I like golf, period. I like the company that I'm
Hmm.
with when I golf.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I like golf.
Understood.
Um, so the person I'm with is quite good at golf, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm up there kind of doing my thing. I'm having a good time, but there's a moment where one of these shots goes like straight to the right, not in a direction that
Hmm.
you want a golf
Yeah.
ball to go.
Did it hit
And
the people next to you?
it wasn't quite
Not
that
that,
straight, right?
right? Okay.
No,
Yeah.
it was like a 45-degree angle, maybe
Sure.
a
Yep.
little less.
Yeah.
Um, in that moment, I immediately like, man, I suck at this, right?
Mm.
Um, I am I good at this? Like, am I a skilled golfer? No.
No.
Is there any need for me to say to myself, gosh, Kurt, you really suck at
Mm.
this? Like
Yeah,
words matter,
they
right?
do. Yeah.
Um, the way I said it, the way I felt it was, you should be better at this. You're
Mm.
extraordinarily bad at
Yeah.
this. That guy's good at this. Why can't you do this?
Mm.
Um, the truth is, I'm not very good. And that would be the better way to say it. This is I haven't spent a lot of time golfing, so I'm getting the results that
Yeah.
I probably should expect to get.
And like, tell me what is the impulse to say that about?
Oh, it's definitely a comparison. It's and it's not just this is other humans, right? This is
Hmm.
not just this one friend of mine. Um, the impulse is that person's really good and they're going to notice how bad I am and they're going to make a judgment about me based upon how
There
bad
we
I am
go.
at this.
Yep.
And I don't want that judgment made about me.
Hmm.
So I'm going to probably beat them to it so
Yep.
I can
Yep.
control
Yep.
that judgment. Um, do I want any judgment? No. But if I have to have any judgment, I want to control it.
Yes.
So I'm gonna name it. I'm gonna own it. It's gonna be in maybe the worst voice possible. Um,
Yeah.
but what's true? I mean, yeah, I say this a lot. What's true? What's true is we had a great time. Me and this guy had a
Yeah.
great time, and he doesn't care if my ball goes 30 degrees to the right.
Nope.
Um, it's a great time. So yeah, I think
So,
that's what it's about.
yep. Yep. And so how can you exercise self-compassion to yourself 24 hours later now? What what would you say to yesterday's self? Or what can you say to yourself right now that is more in alignment with your best thinking?
Yeah. I think this is one of those cases where it is important for me to like live in the realm of truth
Yeah,
to say like I am not very good at this. Um
yeah,
I think what I would say to myself to 24-hour ago self is it's okay, right?
yeah,
Have
yeah,
fun.
yeah. Have fun.
That's maybe the message is it's okay. Have fun.
Hmm.
Um I
Yeah,
think there's more to be said of like where
yeah.
that comes from, right? There's more to be said
Sure.
of like
Oh
the
yeah.
source of this, but I think in the moment
Yep. Yeah,
it's okay. Have fun.
yeah. And like we both know he loves to play golf
Yeah. Yeah.
and he plays a fair amount of golf.
Yeah.
If you're listening, hey, like
Hey,
go
you're a great
golfing.
golfer.
Yeah, you're a good job. And like you spent time doing something he loves to do.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
maybe what's true is I'm a good friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, but I do it all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
I do it too, right?
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
it's
And
it's taken some it's taken some pressure off of the valve. But I
yeah,
think what self-compassion has helped me think about is people aren't thinking things about me near as often as I think they are.
absolutely. Yeah.
The self-compassion piece it helps me understand that I don't have to be as self-involved as I used to be or as I can be still. Like people don't think about me or talk about me near as much as I think
Yeah.
they think or talk about me.
Yeah.
And so like the pressure's off.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I mean, I think you say this a lot. Like it's so easy to think the problem is out there. But in all these cases, it's in here, right? Like that great shots example. Like it's not about anybody other than how I'm feeling in the moment, what I'm willing to say to myself in the moment, right?
Yep. Yep.
Um, there is no judgment. There is no there is no legitimate fear of judgment. There is no legitimate fear of ridicule, right? So I think it all ties back into this thing that you say all the time of like it's probably here. The thing that's
Yeah.
keeping us stuck and getting the results we're getting, it's here, right?
Mhm. And so I feel like gonna tie a bow on this.
Tybo, land it, baby.
Well, isn't it pretty spectacular then to think that if that's true, if the problem is out, we think it's out there, but it's in here, so is the solution.
Yeah. Come on.
It like I I don't have to find worth or value in what you think of me. I
Yeah.
don't find my sense of purpose or success in my ability or lack
Yeah.
thereof to hit a
Yeah.
golf ball
Yeah.
or to fly a kite or
Yeah.
to run.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
my sense of worth and value comes from within, and self compassion to be able to understand myself more fully enables me to, I think, to be more fully me more
Yeah.
of the time and to be okay with the foibles and the struggle and the reality that stressful events are a part of life and oh,
Yeah.
I didn't do as well. I didn't behave. I didn't show up the way I wanted to today.
Yeah.
But I can in my next meeting. I can in my next conversation. I can in my next outing. Uh, maybe. And if I don't, like, right. I mean, this
Yep.
is why practice
Yeah.
doesn't make perfect, makes progress, and
Yeah.
to be able
Yeah.
to stay with it and to assess the things and the way we be. Uh, yeah, it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
What do you, yeah, I think that lands it pretty well. I don't want to say anything else other than ask you, um, if the listener's listening to this thinking, "Hey, I laughed at the beginning of this episode that we were going to talk about
Yeah,
self-compassion,
right.
but
Yeah.
maybe now I'm a little more curious about
Hmm.
how to do this in myself and for myself." How do they get in touch with us?
I would invite them to go to brimstonecoachinggroup.com and there click on any of the 624 tabs that say schedule an initial call or an initial inquiry, and we can have a conversation about things that you're thinking about to determine if we would be a good fit for you. And like it's a 15, 20, 45 minute call where like we'll just explore some possibilities together.
Yeah,
Maybe it's around reasons that you're unable to exercise self-compassion. Maybe it's
yeah,
just something you're thinking about or struggling with. Uh,
yeah,
we we do have some curriculum-based stuff. We do have some content that we help people think about, but that call is really to say, okay, what are you thinking about? And
yeah,
and to listen and reflect back and to maybe see if there's a pathway forward. So we do 5 session packages. We do 10 session packages. We'll do a one-off, but what we believe to be true is that preliminary call sets the stage for whether or not we're a good fit. And we understand that transformation is slow and it happens over time. So
yeah,
that's some of the ways of thinking about it, but brimstonecoachinggroup.com and schedule an initial call.
yeah,
That's a long answer, longer than I've ever
yeah.
done it.
Well,
Sorry about
well,
it. Yeah.
I'll go back. I'll check to see if it was the longest. We'll get some data.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
I'm not sure you have that much time in your life to go back and check that, but you can.
well,
Yeah.
thanks for the conversation, Chris. I mean, I think what I would say is that your understanding of self-compassion, and your exercising it has been such a help for me learning it in my
Hmm.
own life and exercising it in my own life. So thanks for helping me process that. And Thanks for the conversation today.
Thanks for saying that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kurt.
Yeah.